So first of all, fit check. I'm wearing my husband's boxers, the American Eagle, and they look really cute on me. Look at that. I'm also wearing this necklace. See, I think it's really cute. I made it myself. It's crocheted. But I also put it on and then I was like, this doesn't go with this outfit. What am I wearing this for? I tried to take it off and I can't. It's because I tied it in a knot in the back. Right there. And I can't undo the knot because I can't see. So that necklace is staying on until my husband gets home from work and he releases me from my self-made prison. As you can see, I put a dress on my mannequin so that she would be less naked. Today we're going to be reacting to / reviewing Doctor Who primarily because I've been seeing a lot of Doctor Who stuff in social media with the new series or whatever, the new Doctor coming out. I don't really know anything. I know some about Doctor Who. A couple weeks ago I had seen maybe, well, I don't know how many episodes, but I had seen like maybe 7 of various Doctors. And I started watching it and I thought, well, I don't want to start with the current series though, because the current series is not the start of like the continuity, the canon. And I'm really anal about canon. I like to know everything about it when I'm watching a series. So I thought, I'm gonna go back to the beginning, which for New Who means going back to the 9th Doctor, 2005, what's his name? Christopher Eccleston. Run. I actually did watch some of that. I got some notes on it, and maybe we'll go over it, but I got dissatisfied. That's not the beginning of canon. They're referencing stuff that, happened before because Doctor Who is a really old show. So I decided I'm going to go back to the very first episode and start watching from there and move forward. I have some knowledge of Doctor Who, but I've never seen these before. The first actor to play the Doctor was William Hartnell. That's the one I'm about to watch. He played him until 1966, and then they replaced him, and then they've been replacing the Doctor since. According to Wikipedia, and from what I picked up sort of before starting on this project, there are a lot of missing episodes of the classic Doctor Who run. Between 1967 and 1978, the BBC's film and videotape libraries were destroyed, or wiped, or recorded over for various reasons, including just lack of funds and lack of interest in preserving these films. So these were the master copies, which is like the official copy made by the person who made the show that you're supposed to hang on to. 97, okay, so it says 97 of 253 episodes were missing. These are primarily from seasons 3, 4, and 5, though there are some missing from the first season as well, I noticed. Some of them have been found in other recordings. They say they have audio tracks for all of the missing episodes, which is interesting. I didn't know that. The first story is called Unearthly Child. We have it all, I believe. So I'll deal with it when we get to it. When we come across episodes that are missing, I don't know. I'll figure it out. I don't know if I'm assuming that you can get it all online because everything's online now, right? Or somewhere you can get audio recordings or something to fill in the gaps. But I don't know if I'm actually going to be watching them because maybe it'll be really boring. I don't know. I have notes. I took notes because I take this seriously. Do I look cute? I do look cute. Fit check because it's not the same day, so it's kind of a like vintagey, like 1950s style dress. I got this necklace in Alaska, and I got these earrings in Arizona, I believe. So I don't really have any like 1960s clothing. I have some like, I like 50s and 40s, like vintage clothing. But I did kind of like a 60s cat eye. I don't know. It's the closest I can do right now. I'm gonna have to get some 60s clothes if I'm gonna keep reviewing Doctor Who, so I can dress up, apropos of it. I can take a look inspired by Susan. I can't really do her hair though. Her hair is so much shorter than mine. Okay, so this is the first episode of Doctor Who, and I was a little confused because if you look it up on, well, anywhere but like Wikipedia, it'll tell you Doctor Who was created by Sidney Newman, Donald Wilson, and C.E. Weber. But this first episode is credited as being written by Anthony Coburn in the episode itself. And the episode is called An Unearthly Child. I understand that it wasn't like I think they made a pilot episode that they never aired. So maybe that first episode was written by one of these guys. It says, the show was created to fill a gap between children's and young adult programming. Canadian producer Sidney Newman, recently made head of drama at the BBC, was tasked with creating the show, with heavy contributions from Donald Wilson and C.E. Weber. Newman conceived of the idea of the TARDIS, as well as the central character of the Doctor. So it sounds like it was a very, corporate invention. It sounds like it was very much like from top down. The executives were like, "Hey, we need a new show, a new sci-fi show for the kids. Just make something up." And so some guys just got together in a room and did it. It didn't sound like it was someone's passion and they had a great idea and we have to make this show. It sounds like it was very much put together by corporate mandate at the BBC. I have to admit, I thought it would be boring. I thought I wasn't going to like it or I'd have to struggle through it. But I quite liked it, and now I'm really interested to watch the second episode to find out what's going to happen next. So this first series, I think it's called. I think the whole series is called The Unearthly Child. The first episode is called The Unearthly Child, but it is 4 episodes, and each of the episodes is 25 minutes each. That's not the whole first. What it's considered the first season. The season is divided into these small serials, and each serial is smaller, shorter episodes. So it's divided up like that. So it was first broadcast on the 24th of November, 1963. That is the day after John F. Kennedy was assassinated. It didn't get a lot of views, and it was kind of overlooked because people were thinking about other things. So they actually rebroadcast it the next week, and I guess set the schedule back a little bit. And it did much better the second week. People actually watched it and paid attention to it. If they hadn't done that, we might not have Doctor Who at all, because no one watched it because they were too busy thinking about Kennedy getting his head blown out. I mean, I don't know how much they cared in the UK. Apparently they cared a lot. The episode opens with, the theme music, which is pretty much exactly the same as it is today. I mean, it's been re-recorded and rearranged and rewritten. It's the same tune, and I was really surprised by that. The title sequence is more psychedelic and abstract. It's not nowadays in the show you see the TARDIS spinning through space, but it's just some 1960s psychedelic symmetrical patterns. But the show pretty much opens at a high school, not a high school. What do they call high schools in England? Secondary school? The name of the school is Coal Hill School. I don't know if you should send your kids to the school that's on the Coal Hill. I think that's where you get the cancer. But everyone is dressed up in 1960s looks. It's pretty fabulous. Everyone's got the 1960s hair. I really liked it. The episode plot is really focused on 2 high school teachers, or whatever they call them in the UK. They're trying to solve a mystery about one of the students that they have. And so the episode really focuses on them. They have Ian Chesterton. He is a science teacher, and Barbara Wright, who is a history teacher. They're in the break room, or no, they're in his classroom. They're talking about one of their students, who they say is named Susan Foreman. She's 15 and apparently very good at science, very good at history, kind of maybe too good, like a know-it-all. She doesn't know some things that like other people would know, common sense things. She doesn't know how many shillings are in a pound.
I'm sorry, Miss Wright.
Don't be silly, Susan. The United States has a decimal system. You know perfectly well that we do not.
Of course the decimal system hasn't started yet.
British money wasn't decimalized until 1971. And this episode came out in 1963. So they actually correctly predicted the decimalization of British currency. I mean, that wasn't a really tough prediction. Everyone else uses decimalized currency because it's too confusing otherwise. I don't know how many shillings are in a pound. Do you know the United States? This is actually some interesting trivia. So when the United States broke off from Britain and we started our own country, we decided right away to have a decimalized monetary system. That was Thomas Jefferson's idea. And he also said, hey, why don't we try decimalized units of measure? And that didn't catch on. And now we're still in the imperial system, and everyone else has switched to metric. There is some other things about Susan that are unusual, like she had a problem that she was given in the science class that was supposed to be solved on a three-dimensional axis, and she wanted to add two more axes. So you have A, B, C, or it's usually X, Y, Z. That's three-dimensional axis. And she was like, oh no, we need to add D and E so I can solve the problem. And the teacher was like, well, you can't. She's not very good at following instructions. I really relate to her because I was actually a very similar student to this. I mean, where I knew way too much about some things and other things I just knew absolutely nothing. And I was always arguing with my teachers about how to solve problems and things like that. So Susan Foreman is played by Carol Ann Ford. And she's fantastic. I loved her. We also get to see Susan when we first meet her. She's in a room. She's sort of jamming out to some sweet tunes on, I guess, what is a radio? I thought it was a tape player, but then I was like, oh wait, it's 63. It has to be a radio. She's jamming out. She's reading a book. They give her a book called The French Revolution.
That's not right.
It's a book about the French Revolution. It's called The French Revolution, and there's no author, there's no publisher on the cover. It's just says The French Revolution, and it's just this blank book, and they're like flipping through it. It's not a very good prop. So Susan is apparently a gifted student, a little bit unusual. This isn't so weird so far. One of her teachers, the history teacher Barbara, is kind of a busybody.
I got her address from the secretary, 76 Totter's Lane, and I went along there one evening. Oh, Ian, do pay attention.
Sorry, you went along there one evening?
Well, there isn't anything there. It's just an old junkyard.
Well, you must have gone to the wrong place.
Well, that was the address the secretary gave me.
Well, the secretary got it wrong then.
No, I checked. There's a big wall on one side, houses on the other, and nothing in the middle. And this nothing in the middle is number 76 Totter's Lane.
That's a bit of a mystery. What do we do? Ask her point blank?
No, I thought we could drive there, wait till she arrives and see where she goes.
And that doesn't make any sense to me, really. Just from a logical point of view, they've established this as a fake address. There's no house there. They have no reason to think that Susan is actually living at this address. So, I mean, the logical conclusion is that the address is false and that she's living somewhere else in town. So why would she even go to the fake address after school? Like, if you give a fake address to your school, you don't stop by it, go home to the fake address, and then go home to the place where you actually live. You just go straight to the place where you actually live. So what they should be doing is following her when she leaves school and see where she goes, instead of staking out the fake address, just because it doesn't make any sense to do that. The teachers, you know what, also, they kind of have a thing. Like, they have some chemistry. And I think that Ian in particular, the male teacher, I don't think he's as interested in, like, solving the mystery of poor Susan and whatever she's got going on. I think he's more interested in just hanging out with Barbara.
I suppose we are doing the right thing, aren't we?
You can't justify curiosity.
But her homework.
A bit of an excuse, really, isn't it? I've seen far worse. The truth is, we're both curious about Susan, and we won't be happy until we know some of the answers.
Well, you can't just pass it off like that. I thought I was just being a busybody. I'd go straight home. I thought you agreed she was a bit of a mystery.
Yes, but I think you'll find there's a very simple explanation to all this.
It's not like they're doing something wrong, but they're just kind of being snoopy when they could just ask her, like, hey, I tried to go to your house, and there's no house there. What's up with that? So the teachers wait, and sure enough, Susan does show up, opens the gate, walks through into the lot. So they try to follow her, and the lot is just filled with random junk. They don't see Susan there, but they do see an old guy, which is, of course, the doctor. It's William Hartnell as the doctor, and his entrance is not dramatic at all. It's very much like, he's just there. He's like, oh, whatever. And he's just kind of tottering around inside, and he denies that Susan is there. Sort of like, he just basically tells them to fuck off. And he's not impressed by their story that they're looking for a teenage girl who walked into this lot and then disappeared.
One of our pupils, Susan Foreman, came into this yard.
Really? In here? Are you sure?
Yes. We saw her from across the street.
One of their pupils, not the police then.
I beg your pardon?
Why were you spying on her? Who are you?
We heard a young girl's voice call out to you.
Your hearing must be very acute. I didn't hear anything.
It came from in here.
You imagined it.
I certainly did not imagine it.
Young man, is it reasonable to suppose that anybody would be inside a cupboard like that?
He does have kind of serial killer vibes a little bit, but just a little bit. Like, you want to keep an eye on him, not like you're going to call the police right at that moment. Hey, look at this, England. I'm drinking iced tea. And it's good.
Not until we're satisfied that Susan isn't here. And frankly, I don't understand your attitude.
Oh, yours leaves a lot to be desired.
Will you open the door?
There's nothing in there.
Then what are you afraid to show us?
Afraid? Oh, go away.
I think we'd better go and fetch a policeman.
Very well.
And you're coming with us.
Oh, am I? I don't think so, young man. No, I don't think so.
They're talking to the doctor, who's kind of stonewalling them and tells them to fuck off. And Susan, they hear Susan's voice calling, and there is a police box in like the corner of the junkyard. And I'm not sure, I'm gonna have to look this up, but I don't know if police boxes were actually in use in 1963. I believe the teacher, Ian, the male teacher, like takes a walk all the way around it too a couple times when he's looking around. But they hear Susan's voice coming from it, and they open the door and they run in, and on the inside there is basically a spaceship interior. I mean, it's like a 1960s movie spaceship interior. It kind of looks like the spaceships from Plan 9 from Outer Space, actually.
You see? You're stupid minds. Stupid! That's all I'm taking from you. Get back here, you jerk! Let him finish.
But yeah, I mean, you just instantly look at it and go, oh, that's a spaceship. Also, it's bigger on the inside than the outside. And they start arguing that with Susan that this is actually just an illusion. Susan tells them that they're in something that she says she named the TARDIS.
Well, I made up the name TARDIS from the initials, time and relative dimension in space.
So apparently Susan is the one who named the TARDIS. And she also confirms that the Doctor is indeed her grandfather. He's her actual grandfather. The Doctor, he's acting pretty cold right now, which makes sense, I guess. They did break into his house after he told them to leave. I would be pretty short too. And he's like, I'm not gonna explain anything because you don't deserve it. You're primitive. You're too primitive to understand.
Oh, you wouldn't understand, of course.
But I want to understand.
Yes.
Then he sort of doesn't explain why the TARDIS is bigger on the inside by comparing it to television.
You say you can't fit an enormous building into one of your smaller sitting rooms.
No.
But you've discovered television, haven't you?
Yes.
Then by showing an enormous building on your television screen, you can do what seemed impossible, couldn't you?
Well, yes, but I still don't...
Not quite clear, is it? I can see by your face that you're not certain. You don't understand. I knew you wouldn't. Never mind.
William Hartnell delivers a couple lines directly to camera, and it is kind of freaky.
You don't understand, so you find excuses. That is it. The point is not whether you understand. What is going to happen to you? Now, don't get exasperated, Susan. Remember the Red Indian. When he saw the first steam train, his savage mind thought it an illusion too.
You're treating us like children.
It's toward the end of the episode when the Doctor says, you know, he has kind of a monologue, and he confirms that he and Susan are aliens, or at least they're from like a different planet. They're from a different kind of civilization, that they live in the fourth dimension. They can move, the TARDIS can move anywhere in time and space, and so they move through time. And basically that they're not like human, and that explains why Susan is so different. Also, he says his civilization is much more advanced than humans in England, 1960s. And he's kind of impatient with the teachers and their inability to like understand the advanced science, or maybe he's just in a bad mood because they broke into his house and he told them to leave. I know this will be this has got to be important later. He says that they're cut off from their home planet and that one day they will return.
Susan and I are cut off from our own planet, without friends or protection. But one day, we shall get back. Yes, one day. One day.
So, I mean, that's not much of an explanation, but I mean, that's got to be important later. It's at this point in the show that the Doctor gets a little bit psychopathic. He's like, well, you guys came in here and I can't let you leave. Can't let you leave, you gotta stay here. And Susan's like, no, please let them go. And he's like, nope. So he's kind of implied he's just gonna like kill them. Or I mean, it's very, like, he's kidnapping them. But he's like, hey, he tells Susan, you know, we can't let them go. If we do let them go, then we can't come back here. You can't go back to school. And she doesn't want that. She wants to stay. She wants to keep going to the school that she's been going to. She likes where she is. She doesn't want to move. And the Doctor's like, well, I can't let them go then. So I'm going to kill your teachers. Guess. And they go back and forth. And then the Doctor just kind of out of nowhere pops off and starts hitting buttons on the TARDIS. And then there's like this sort of weird noise, and both the teachers faint, and everything gets weird, and we hear that TARDIS noise, that vorp vorp noise, for the first time, and it's exactly the same as it is today. I mean, I think they use the same recording. It's that same that noise. It's allegedly a house key scraping on a piano wire, and I kind of hate it. It's an awful noise. I've read about in the TARDIS noise that at one point they say that the TARDIS only makes that noise because the Doctor leaves the parking brake on. So it kind of makes sense that it's like a bad noise if it's like the engine seizing essentially, or you know, metal parts rubbing against each other when they're not supposed to. Brian Hodgson, who made the TARDIS noise, he said, everyone knew rockets went bang, whoosh, but what does a time machine do? It doesn't go up, it doesn't go down, it goes everywhere at once. The thing I had in my mind is that it's just be coming and going and very vague. And he says that it's supposed to represent, the sound was supposed to represent in the scripts, the rending of the fabric of time and space. So reality itself just sort of, you know, tearing out. So he creates this sort of horrific noise to describe something that happens that in the context of this episode is quite scary and horrific. It's a cliffhanger ending, but you know, it's like, oh my gosh, what's happening to these people? Reality is being torn apart, so you have this sort of tearing noise. I'm saying this because I think maybe they should like update the TARDIS noise a little bit and replace it with something like more pleasant sounding. I know they're not going to. They stuck with this noise since like the 1960s, but to me it sounds like an elephant being stabbed or something. So the very last shot of the episode shows the TARDIS, and I mean, it's very clearly, that looks very much like a miniature TARDIS on a miniature set. And then like a shadow appears, and then it says, next week it'll continue with the Cave of Skulls. So I'm very interested to see what will happen next. I don't really understand why the teachers fainted, aside from just excitement of the moment. So if the humans fainted in the TARDIS, but the non-humans didn't, it's possible that time travel is like not something that they can really withstand. I'm assuming that they fainted and didn't just freaking die, because then I don't know where the plot's going to go if the Doctor just kills the teachers off in the first episode. It does solve their problem, sort of. I mean, it solves the problem of being found out as aliens. Now they have to cover up a murder, but now they're in prehistoric times, and I don't know how that is going to work out. I also don't know why the Doctor, it seems like he just sort of impulsively starts hitting switches, and then they like fly off. And so I don't know if he had a plan, or he was just like, I'm tired of this conversation. Let's just get out of here. Oh, okay. Obviously, it seems that the Doctor is going to kill them and dump their bodies in prehistoric times. He seems kind of psychopathic. He's like laughing at them and stuff. Maybe not. I don't know. He's a little bit scary. Susan is a delight, though. So yeah, I guess we'll come back for the next episode, and we'll find out what the Doctor is going to do to these Poor nosy high school teachers who did not listen to him when he said, "Go away."
Ian, look at this.
Well, it's a police box. What on earth's he doing here? I mean, these things are usually on the street. Look, feel it. Feel it, you feel it?
It's a faint vibration.
It's alive.